And welcome everyone to this episode of Crazy's Corner. We just recorded another episode. This episode is going to be guys who are going to gain some value over the off season. So maybe guys you go get now before it's too late. And then we have recorded the previous episode, which was guys that you want to trade away before their value diminishes. So you can go check out that episode if you haven't already. We're back, full crew, Jeff and Will for media. How are we doing tonight, guys?
We're doing
good,
great.
man. Doing good.
Doing good. These guys are maybe guys that we're trying to target in our Dynasty League. Who knows? But we got three players here for you. We have a running back and two wide receivers. I'm going to start us off here. A guy I expect to gain value due to his situation is Romad Dun. Looking at the Chicago Bears, I think that they're going to invest some money into their offensive line this offseason. And that is what Caleb Williams needs to take that step forward. Odunze looked good this year when he had the opportunities, but obviously he was behind Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Keenan Allen being a free agent, the fact that they just drafted Romad Dun, top 10 pick last year, leads me to believe that I don't think they're going to be in play for a T. Higgins. And I'm not even sure if Keenan Allen's going to be back on this team. So I think Odunze, even if Keenan Allen's is back, I think he jumps him similar to what we saw with Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tyler Lockett last season. So for me, I like Odunze. I like what I saw on the field last year. I think that this offense with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson takes a step forward. And I think that's good for Romad Dun. If you can go out and get him coming off of a slow season, I think that Romad Dun is a guy that you should definitely go and get. Jeff, what do you think about Romad Dun?
I think so too. I honestly, with Ben Johnson now being the head coach, everything is shifting to more of a full offensive arsenal. So I think he's going to be the leader of that. And, I'm just kind of, I don't want to say I'm excited to see what the Bears are going to do, but I'm excited to see what the Bears are going to do with that offense. So, and as well as what they're going to bring in, during the draft as well, if they're going to do anything that's going to help with the running game, which again will help the passing game. So.
Will, as the Romad Dun owner in our Dynasty League, how do you feel about him going forward?
Great. The only way this gets better is if the ownership at the Bears realize they need a dome. No freaking snow. With Ben Johnson, we need a dome. Let's get some turf. Let's get these guys going on turf. And then everyone who owns Odunze and Caleb Williams on that, be very freaking happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely would help.
As a guy that drafted Caleb Williams at the first pick and let Jaden Daniels go, I'm not happy right now.
Yeah, as a guy who's currently sitting in minus 20-degree weather outside and tons of snow, I definitely get what you're saying there, Will. It would be nice to see them being playing in a dome.
Just a dome. Come on, Chicago. Every fantasy owner is just calling for it. Just come on, Chicago. We know it's going to take a couple of years, but announce it now. Let's go. Get that dome.
Yeah, or even if they did something similar to Buffalo where it's not a dome, but at least they've engineered it so the wind won't be a factor. You can have some snow, but no wind. Yeah. I think that would be ideal as well. Jeff, we had a little bit of a tease from the last episode coming into this episode. So who is your player that you think is gaining value?
My guy kind of reminded me of a little bit of Puka Nacua. Had a little effect when he did get some time. Lots of targets, lots of catches, and that's Jordan Whittington. Now with Cooper Kupp being removed, Demarcus Robinson probably being gone, Tutu Atwell a little bit older. Whittington is that same type of tough-minded receiver that reminded me of Puka Nacua. That he'll go in there and block. He'll go in there and go across the middle. He could be a possession receiver, which is great. That's actually the same start that Cooper Kupp got, that it went to Puka Nacua. Now I see that same thing being developed in Jordan Whittington. And I think that might be the reason why McVay is probably like, we can go ahead and let Cooper Kupp go. When Kupp was out and when Nacua was out, Whittington stepped in big. So him and Demarcus Robinson, were pretty much the tandem. When Kupp came back, he kind of took a back seat, but I think they were like, we see what we needed to see in this rookie, and I think he's going to be, able to fill the shoes next season.
Yeah, they are moving on from Cup, so he should get some more opportunities. I like what we've seen from Sean McVay and the coaching staff in developing these wide receivers, turning them into stars. So there is a chance of that happening with Whittington. It is a weaker wide receiver free agency class, so I'm not too worried. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought back Demarcus Robinson. He just seems like an LA type of guy. Seems to work fairly well. He's tried other places and it hasn't worked, but he has been able to get something going in LA. But even if he comes back, as you said, they're moving on from Cooper Kupp, so they must like what they have in terms of wide receivers. And like Whittington could definitely be a big part of that. Will, anything you want to add here before we move on to your player?
No, we're good.
Okay, Will,
who
is your player that you are trying to acquire?
Look, Taj Spears with the Titans. I own him in a couple of leagues. I keep hearing rumblings that Pollard's going to be moved one way or the other. And I think if that happens, it's a guy you could get cheap right now because people feel he's buried. Mm-hmm. But he didn't have a bad year. When he got a chance to play, he actually had decent numbers. So to me in Tennessee, like he could be a sneaky RB1 that could get you he's still got 2 years on his rookie deal. He's not a free agent until after 26. So, you can probably get a couple good years on him. And I think he's someone you can get without giving up a lot right now. Like, I think if the news on Kupp hadn't been out right now, Whittingham would be a good steal, right, Jeff? Like, but now you're going to have to overpay for it because everybody's thinking the same exact thing. The Spears momentum in Tennessee still just kind of whispers. So, look, what other options are they going to have? Now, they could go into the draft and do something that just blows it all up like Seattle did a couple of years ago, right? Where you're like, how many running backs do you need? But, I just think his numbers are going to go up. I think that Tennessee offense gets better. And I think it's a guy that could be a sneaky RB1 that could help win a championship for you next year. And you could get him maybe for a second or third round pick in a dynasty right now. Maybe a couple seconds too. It depends on the ownership group. But look, I'm all in on him for next year.
Yeah, I think it's definitely risky, in my opinion. Acquiring a running back before free agency in the draft, to me, is always risky because you never know what these teams are going to do. You have star running backs. As you said, Kenneth Walker was going to be an amazing RB1. He was going to be the only guy there, and then they draft Charbonnet early in the second round. There's so many situations where like, hey, this team has their guy. Tyler Algier put up 1,000 yards his rookie year. They draft Bijan in the top 10. Damian Pierce had a great rookie year. Then they bring in Joe Mixon and he's gone. So it does make me a little bit nervous. But if they do move on from Pollard, what I like from Taj Spears is that I expect the Titans to have a rookie quarterback next year. Hopefully for Spears, that rookie quarterback wants to check it down to the running back, because when you're looking at Spears' last 3 games, week 15, 16, 17, he was on the field for more than 50% of all of those games. And in weeks 15 and 16, where he had 20 points, he had 4 carries and 10 carries, but he had 7 targets and 4 targets. So the targets were there, but he was also getting the goal line work and the red zone work at that time too.
Yeah.
So maybe best case for Taj Spears is they just keep Pollard, and then Spears just does what he did the last 3 weeks of the season, where he's scoring touchdowns. And then even in week 17 against Jacksonville, he had 20 carries. So maybe he does even just become that. And if the offense can take a little bit of a step forward, or he just gets those targets from a rookie quarterback, I think that could definitely be okay. It's just risky for me. I don't like trading for running backs pre-free agency and the draft. Jeff, anything you want to add?
Until I see what they do at the quarterback position and get mayonnaise man out there, I am
non-believers. Non-believers.
Offense. That Tennessee is just one of those offenses that I'm just like red marked through my whole fantasy draft process.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Spears would have a little bit of value, especially if Pollard wasn't there. But yeah, I just don't. trust the whole thing. To get rid of the GM, but I'm like, I still don't trust the coaching staff. So,
yeah. As Will said, if you're going to take a shot on a guy, it's not going to cost you that much to get Spears at this point. He's the RB2 on his team, and like I said, we were going into free agency. They're on a team that's not projected to be very good, and they could have a new quarterback. So definitely lots of questions.
And I think this is a broader discussion real quick about running backs. This is such a deep running back draft.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's a time to buy running backs from owners who are nervous. Because everybody's sitting here saying, like this, literally, you can get a starting running back. A team can get a starting running back in the 4th or 5th round this year.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. And so if you got a guy that you're not sure about and you're nervous, if you get offered a 2nd round pick right now, you might be like, yeah, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're going to try to buy an existing running back, I think it's a risk reward that you got to go now before the draft and free agency. Because then people, right, they'll understand what the market is. And then the guy you could have got for a 2nd round pick is now someone's trying to hold out for a 1st round pick.
Yep. So Will and I are on the exact opposite gambling sides. Will is saying you take the shot, and if you hit, it's definitely a good bet to make.
Yep.
And, sometimes you can use some sort of like information that maybe you have that someone else might not have, and you can make a deal based on that. So if you do it smart, you can definitely, this is the time where your dynasty team can gain a lot of value, is working in between the time where free agency starts and the draft. If you kind of think you have a direction that a team's going to go, you might be able to make some trades, pull off some things where, you might not be able to come, August, you might not be able to get this guy, but now you can. And that's why it's important for dynasty owners to make sure you stay active all year round. You're always trying to look and find ways to improve your roster. You can't just sit around and wait for, guys that we talked about on the previous show who are probably could lose some value this offseason. You want to make sure that you're capitalizing while you can. If you had, listened to us a couple years ago when Cooper Kupp was coming off that wide receiver 1 season, we're like, hey, Cooper Kupp's value can physically never be higher. It can only go down from here.
Right.
So get rid of him. It's not like he's young. Get rid of him, trade him away, and if you capitalize on that value, you're sitting here right now like, fantastic, I did great. That's why you can never stop, and you never know what other teams are going to accept. If you just look at the Dallas Mavericks, for example, sometimes you could just pull one over on another team. So always try sending out these trade offers. But that's it for today. Thank you guys for joining me. Go check out the Media app, an amazing virtual press conferencing app that allows you to host a virtual press conference from your phone, as well as ask other athletes and people on the app questions. And we will be back next week. Thank you guys.
All right.